The Nexus 6P is a great phone, but if you have one, chances are the battery is beginning to show its age. In this video, I'll show you how to disassemble the phone, replace the battery, and reassemble it, so that your battery can return to its factory original functionality. First, heat the glass at the top of the back of your Nexus 6P using an eye opener. This took me a couple of tries to get right, but the best advice I can give is to heat the eye opener for a full 30 seconds rather than trying to start with 20 like I did, and to leave it on there for quite a while. Maybe even up to a minute before trying to take the glass off, to give the adhesive lots of time to melt. Once you think you're ready to try removing the glass, take the eye opener off and use an X-Acto knife or other sharp cutting tool to poke under the corners of the glass. This piece of glass is very fragile, so make sure not to crack it by pulling it up unexpectedly. Again, this can be tricky, so reheat with the eye opener if you need to, and don't break your phone trying too hard. Eventually, you'll get the blade of your knife under the edge of the glass. This means that you've successfully lifted that corner up, and now need to remove the rest of it. Now you can begin to slowly cut around the edge of the glass. Make sure the tip of your knife does not harm the camera lens underneath or the flash next to it. That means you should not press the knife in too far, so that you will clear both of these components by going around them rather than over them. Then slowly cut around the edge of the glass. This clip is sped up, but it took a full 40 seconds in real life. If your knife slips out like mine did here, just go back to the corner where you started and stick it back under. It's not that hard since you've already lifted a good portion of the glass up, and you should just be able to go around again. It's a bit quicker if you've already slipped out since you've cut most of the adhesive. Again, be sure to go around the crucial components underneath, as you don't want to scratch the lens or the flash. Once you think you've cut most of the adhesive around the glass, you can begin to lift it up with the blade of your knife or with your fingers. Be careful, as even when done properly, this stage often cracks the glass. As such, it may make sense to order replacement glass along with your new battery. Now, put the eye opener on the plastic strip at the other end of the phone. Leave the eye opener to sit for a while. After that, you can start trying to open it with a knife. Like the top, this may take a while, but eventually, your knife will go underneath the plastic, lifting it up off the phone. I had some difficulties with getting the knife under the plastic, but eventually I found that if you lay the knife down along the phone and try to cut around the corner, it should work. Then you can begin to cut along like you did for the top. There's no camera or flash to worry about here, so you can cut a little bit more quickly, as you're not really worried about scratching anything. Still, go slow and be careful not to cut your hand. Then, you can cut around the piece like you did on the top. Once it's most of the way off, you can just peel it the rest of the way off with your fingers. Then remove the 2 white stickers covering the screws with your knife. Then remove all 6 screws from the back of the device. Then you can begin to pull at the front of the phone with a suction cup, while sticking some guitar picks under it. I actually made the mistake of pulling the front glass and screen off, rather than pulling the frame out of the body. But this isn't a big deal. I think I just put the guitar picks in too shallow rather than sticking them further down. I just stuck the guitar pick further down under the edge of the frame rather than the edge of the screen, and that was actually a lot easier to get out, though still a little bit tight. So this is where you would be if you'd done the pulling the front properly, with the guitar pick under the front of the phone. Also note that it's turning on. I probably hit the power button once or twice, and I think it's now temporarily held in by pulling the frame out. As such, I just made sure to turn it off once it booted. Once the frame has been lifted out of the body, just lift it away and put the body to the side. Then remove the 1 screw holding the battery connector cover. You can then lift the connector up with your fingers. My battery connector came off with the cover, but pop it off yourself if it doesn't. Then use a spudger to pop the 2 USB board connectors up off the board, as well as removing it from the USB board itself on the other end of the phone. Again, you can use a spudger for this. Then you can set the cable aside for now. The battery is held in underneath using strong glue, so to remove it you'll have to stick a spudger into the small cutout intended for this, and slowly press it under the battery. Once you've gotten that edge lifted up, you can then use a card to press under the battery slowly, lifting it up and removing the adhesive. This will take a while, and you will have to press quite hard on it. Note how much the card is bending in my hand as I press it under the battery. After a bit of cutting with the card, you should be able to lift the battery up and out of the phone. Attach your new battery to the board using the connector. Then lower the new battery down into the phone, pressing on it to stick it to the adhesive left behind by the old one. While there's a bit less adhesive because some came off on the old battery, it still seems to be enough to easily hold it in place. Then get your USB board cable back and connect it to the USB board and the main board of the phone, using the same connectors it came off of before. Then press the cover back into place and screw it down, securing the connections. Then, using your fingers, press the frame down into the body of the phone. Since I'd accidentally removed my screen from the frame while trying to take it apart, as you saw earlier, I put some strips of double-sided tape underneath, and then peeled the other side off using tweezers. You can now put the 6 screws back into the rear of the phone. You don't have to worry about putting them in the wrong holes because they're all exactly the same length. You can now place the glass piece back over the camera and press it down to reattach it to the adhesive underneath. Do the same for the plastic piece on the bottom of the phone. So that's how you replace the battery in the Nexus 6P. If you found the video informative or useful, then please do subscribe, as we're still a very, very small channel and it does help us grow. And until next time, bye.